Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Paul Trani here with the one and only Anna McNaught. Right here, back again for the third time because we haven't learned our lesson for some reason. But we like having her, and we like having you here. Good to see Anthony and Joe and Audie and Susan. How are you feeling today?
A little nervous. You would think by the third time I would feel chill, but it's like coffee's working. Everything's kind of like.
Yeah. Well, it just means that you care about this. I think if you're not nervous, then you're nervous because you care.
That's true. Now the pressure's on. You guys know that third time I better know what I'm doing.
I know.
Might kick me off.
Oh man, what is this called? Photoshop. We're gonna be doing some compositing today, and for the next 3 days. So we've been doing 2-day live streams. We get you for 3 days, which is awesome, and we got a release as well for Photoshop on desktop and iPad.
Yeah, Photoshop's birthday.
Yeah, so of course, Photoshop's birthday as well. So super cool. Feel free to say hello to Anna like you've been doing. Good to see you, Andrew, as well. So we got some good plans for you, and then we got actually an awesome day. If we can just go over the schedule, I think it's super cool. Of course, thank you to Kathleen. She's amazing. Per usual, we'll get to review some of those challenge submissions in about an hour or so. We have Anna for 2 hours. XD challenge with Andrea. And Magdal Lopez's first time. Excited about his session this afternoon. And then there's a daily creative chaleg. I can't see because your head's in the way. Just kidding. With Andrew. So anyways, a full day, super fun, and we're happy to be back. We had yesterday off, so we're just full of energy, I guess.
I flew yesterday,
you flew
so
yesterday.
it's
and
a
you were
long
just
day
up late
flying.
at night in a hotel. You're like, I'm not used to being in this hotel, and I don't know what is that noise.
What do I do?
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, I'm on East Coast time, so I woke up super early today. I'm all kinds of a mess, so hopefully you guys can bear with me.
Yeah, well, this will be fun. I think we'll create some stuff. What is the plan today, actually?
So, for those of you that don't know, I have been living out of this beautiful van for the past since
Parked
July.
right outside Adobe right now.
No. My husband and I left LA in July and bought a camper van and have been traveling around the US. We're actually taking a little bit of a break now, just because it's been so cold, and we woke up with ice and frost inside the van, so we have some insulation issues.
Wow.
We just decided we wanted to travel full time and to start taking pictures from the road, and then I kind of really enjoyed being able to start to Photoshop these images. And so what I want to work on today with you guys is kind of taking these travel photos and turning them into something dreamy and whimsical that we can make in Photoshop, and something that I could, post on my Instagram, because that's what I've become known for. I can't really post something like this. So
totally.
Kind of a warm up for the week, kind of moving slowly, softly, and get things going.
Yeah, totally. And for those who are just visiting Anna for the first time, just a shout out to your Instagram, Anna McNaught, and then you have travel/van life right here. So you gotta jump right out to leave the map. Is it there yet?
Oh my God!
She just hit. 10,000. 10,000
so
followers.
Excited. Oh my God, we just hit 10,000 seconds ago. So I'm super pumped because we've been working on that for a while, and now we get swipe up in our stories. So it's a huge deal.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So congratulations to you.
Thanks.
And we get to see you kind of work on an image live, I guess, which is super fun.
Yeah.
And, I think you've been really good about sharing Instagram tips and things like that as well. And it's 10,000 didn't happen by accident.
No.
A lot of work and persistence and annoying other people, you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I've been a pest about it. And Howard unfollows.
No. Just we keep hitting 10,000 again and again.
I know.
Unfollow, follow.
That's what's happening to me right now on my page. I keep hitting 140 and then it drops. I'm like, whatever, I'm over it.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of hard work. Actually, last time I was live, I shared some business tips and Instagram tips with everyone, and so you guys can watch that on Behance or on YouTube if you want to see that replay. But today is all about Photoshop, and tomorrow we're going to work on a Photoshop birthday post, and then the third day we might have some fun with actually doing some photography, right?
Yeah, we might actually take some photos and kind of do things a little bit more live and off the cuff potentially.
Yeah, could be
what
fun.
Happens. Yeah.
Then we'll be extra nervous. So.
Yeah, we will.
All right, so should we get started on this?
Yeah.
All right. Should I start from scratch or show what I did with this? What do you guys
I think you should. I would love to hear your thought process on, like, you have this image, so, like, yeah, what is the plan for it?
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah.
so this is Monument Valley, and it was a really cool drive, but we shot this during the middle of the day because we were on our way out. We were, like, on a strict drive schedule. We're like, okay, got to get to the next place as fast as we can, and, you know, trying to get back in time for Christmas to the East Coast and everything. So, yeah, we did not hit this at an ideal lighting time. But I thought, okay, this is a cool photo. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening back here, easy to kind of cut out. And so I figured might as well add something crazy and do something cool with it. So
Yeah. No, that sounds good. You got some sky that you could cut out and play with.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess let's just open and start a new file
Yeah,
and start
let's
from
do
scratch
that. Would
with
love
this.
to see you do.
So a lot of times, I've taught this before when I've been live, but I usually end up just going for a 16 by 20 canvas with a 300 DPI. And I do that because I oftentimes will print my work for people and I want to make sure that it's big enough. But this also allows you to make sure that it doesn't like look too pixelated on Instagram.
Okay.
So I'm just going to create.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've noticed that sometimes when I post things, sometimes I lose detail when I post to Instagram, and I have to
Yeah.
almost overly sharpen it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you've kind
Yeah,
of
make your
experienced that as
canvas
well.
nice and big. And
Okay.
then also make sure, a lot of times I've noticed that third-party apps, if you're posting through an app, that they will get rid of like your resolution. It kind of
Oh.
compresses it.
Huh. And another thing about your just your ratio is that is also
that-
interesting. This
yes.
is did you say it's 16 by 20? Is that what it
Yeah, I
is?
did 16 by 20 because then it's a 4:5 ratio, which is for Instagram. So,
Yeah, which is larger than the square that they want you to post to, but you know,
well, you don't have to post a square anymore. So.
which is awesome. Like
Yeah.
this is better. Anytime you can get more screen real estate, do so. Right?
Yes,
Is that
totally. And so a fun fact is to always post vertical on Instagram because you're looking at it on your phone. And so like when you post horizontal, it takes less time as you're scrolling. And so it's actually proven that because it stays on the screen longer when it's vertical, you get more likes. I don't know.
and more
Something I read.
exposure?
Yeah.
No, I'm into it.
Yeah, so, okay, I just saved this van live. We got this going on. I'm going to place this van image. Let's just see here. Day one, we got our van original. I already organized everything, so we're all set to go.
Van life.
And there we go. There is our van image. So I'm just going to kind of size this, Command T, and get it into place. So you'll notice in this one that there's like lots of stuff happening. We got some skid marks and a sign and some cars. And in not that one, you got a preview of later. In this one, I got rid of everything. So I think it looks a lot cleaner. So
Yeah, it does.
I think, what do you want to do? Some content aware.
Yeah,
You know
how
that?
did you jump in? So yeah, how did you? Was it just content aware? Is what you did with all those different marks?
Yeah, and so something that I learned on YouTube, which was pretty interesting. I don't know if you've done this before, but to actually, you can paint with black and paint, like if you have a lot of stuff happening, like we have all these skid marks, this sign, these cars, go in and just kind of paint it with your brush and then select that and do content aware fill rather than
Oh.
circling each thing.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
especially if you're using a tablet.
Go
like,
ahead and I don't know.
Yeah,
you can
I'll
just do whatever you want to do.
Cool. Sweet. So yeah, if you guys are using a tablet, that's way easier. I'm using my laptop and I look like an idiot, but
Actually,
Alright.
do you usually even use a mouse? Do you? Or
I,
no?
to be
Sometimes?
honest, I don't use a mouse.
Yeah.
I end up using
You
my
use your
laptop.
trackpad.
Yeah.
That's what I end up doing. Just
Yeah.
because it's always there. It's like
Yeah, it's easy,
Less fuss.
especially like being in the van, you know, if I'm on my iPad, that's great, but if I'm using my laptop, then just using my laptop because you can't really like use a mouse while you're driving around.
Yeah.
And, I mean, not driving and,
yeah.
you know.
Hopefully you're not driving.
Yeah, no.
Using a mouse.
That's a new way to work. All right, so I have a black brush here that I'm using. I have it pretty soft. Let me turn my flow up. And we'll just turn the hardness up here. Actually, something I learned from you the other day was that you can hold shift and change the hardness using your brackets, which I didn't even know.
And this is something I've learned from Jesus Ramirez. I think somebody was talking about him. But the caps lock, sometimes the caps lock's on. And so you should be able to get a preview of the brush. Do you get you're actually changing the size.
So keep your cap locks on?
Make sure it's turned off. See how it does that exact?
Yeah.
Has it ever been this situation where you're I want to change the size.
And you're like, where is it?
What size is it?
Yeah, that's huge.
It's the caps lock. It's the little things, really.
I know. Okay, so I'm just going to paint these areas with black. Okay, I don't know what's happening over here.
I don't know what that is either. Yeah, Howard drives with his Tesla with a mouse.
I use mice. Wow.
Okay, just a second.
Howard.
Welcome, Michelle. Good to have you here. It's actually a beautiful day here in San Francisco, by the way. It's a lot like how it looks like in this photo. It's what it looks like today.
Yeah. So I'm just painting all of these things.
Yeah.
Look at all those cars getting in the way.
There was probably it's always the case where there's nobody around, and then the moment you take out your camera, all these vehicles show up.
Yep, exactly. Okay, but this is actually a pretty awesome area because it's there's not a lot of cars coming, and then you can see them for miles. It's actually where Forrest Gump did the final run, where he's I'm gonna stop now.
Where's Monument Valley?
It is in Utah.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
Yes. So, okay, we got everything painted with black. So now what I'm gonna do is just Command or Control click on the layer that I made here. So it selected everything. And then I'm gonna go back to my Van original. So make sure you have the original highlighted. And then I'm just gonna go edit. Why is it not coming up?
Oh wait, because it's
what did I do? Oh, because it's
a smart.
All right,
Smarty object.
Let's rasterize that layer. All right, now that we got it sized and in place and everything, you guys don't need to keep it as a smart layer anymore because now it's all good to go. So, all right, now we'll go edit content aware fill. Just thinking about it.
We have Chat and Win coming up in 15 minutes too.
Okay, cool. All right, so you can see that it's taking from around the van, around the road and everything, and then filling these areas really nicely. So let's just zoom in on that over here.
And it seems to do a really good job.
It does it perfectly. And then you can always just kind of go in and touch it up. So then you can choose if you want it to automatically do it, if you want to custom paint. Sometimes I do that with pictures that are more complicated because then it allows me to kind of just custom rather than getting rid of the green areas and changing it. So
yeah.
And then you can change your output settings as well. So I just like to put it on a new layer just to inspect everything, make sure it looks good, and then usually I kind of destructively merge them together. I'm a bad girl. So.
No. It's it's not even bad, but am I really gonna need those skid marks or whatever the case is? Do I need all those imperfections?
And then it's just a pain too when you're trying to color things and you're like, oh my god, everything's on a separate layer.
Yeah.
So now
we have, just to, sorry to interrupt, but also we have updates coming to Photoshop on the desktop that have to do with content. With content-aware fill, which we'll see tomorrow.
That's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so now if we remove that, let's just deselect this, remove that black, look at that. Awesome.
Done.
So you can see before and after. So Content Aware did a perfect job, and the painting with black trick just saves you going around and circling everything with the select tool. All right, so I'm just gonna get rid of the black layer there, and then I'm going to actually copy my Van original so we don't lose that. And just turn this off for now, and then let's just copy or select these and merge them together. I just did Command E to merge.
I didn't know Command E was merge. I should know that.
Yeah,
But I like how you have the backup layer too, as well. Usually anybody's.
Yeah.
You just see that extra. And by the way, I noticed you have in your layers panel, you have the option to turn off copy. Is that right? It doesn't say Van Original Copy.
Oh, yeah.
Because you probably turn that off in your layers panel options.
I wonder if I did. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, but it's annoying when you just see copy everywhere. It's like, okay, I get it. Just be Van Original.
Yeah.
So anyways.
All right. So now to cut this out, I'm actually going to use channels because you guys can see that there's a very strong separation between the mountains here and the sky. Big contrast. So this makes it really easy to use channels to mask something. Otherwise, you might have to come in and like cut all around these little guys, and that would be a huge pain. So let's just go over to channels, and what you're going to do here is you want to click in cyan, magenta, yellow, black. I don't know why we're in CMYK right now. Usually I'm in RGB. Let's actually switch that.
Yeah, you can probably.
So if you're in CMYK, which is better for printing, RGB is better for web, you can just come up to image mode and then change to RGB color. Oh my God, it wants to flatten.
Don't flatten. You can do don't flatten. Whew.
Oh, let's see. Will it? Okay,
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Why is that even an option?
I don't know. It's like
Just
the
get
scariest
rid of
thing.
that
Like,
altogether.
yeah, for real. Photoshop's like, let's flatten this. Like, no.
So Cosmine does forget about channels when editing, so I'm glad you're showing this, because I
Yeah.
sometimes don't do this, and I feel like I should. What made you decide to use channels?
Because of the contrast between the rocks and the sky, between, what do you call these, the mittens.
Mittens?
I think that's what they call like the structures, because they look like mittens.
Oh, really?
I forget. We didn't really spend enough time there. But anyways, yeah, so when you have something that's highly contrasted, it's really easy to use channels to cut it out. I use this all the time when I'm replacing skies because, you know, no one wants to cut around like trees. No one wants to cut around rocks. This is super, super helpful. So when you're in channels, you want to look for the channel that has the most amount of contrast between black and white. So this one has like a bit too much detail, and then I would say green looks pretty good, and blue, not enough contrast. So we're gonna go to green, and then we're just going to copy this. And then what we're going to do, and you wanna make sure you're always working on a copy. If you don't copy it, it's gonna mess everything up. So then we're gonna go into levels, and I just did Command or Control L for that. And then let's just start sliding this. So we're trying to get our blacks as black as possible and our whites as white as possible. So we're essentially making a layer mask here. So I'm just kind of clicking and dragging until things start to look pretty good. We can zoom out here, and that looks good enough. We're gonna tweak this a little bit. And so then we're gonna go over to dodge and burn, and we're gonna go to burn first, and you wanna make sure you have your shadows on and then exposure all the way up to 100. And then you're just going to paint these black areas to make sure they're pure, pure, pure black. Just like that.
Yeah, this is also just a whole fascinating way to think, is the fact that you're painting on this duplicated channels layer.
Yeah,
You know?
I love doing it this way, and like it's weird to work this way. It kind of takes your mind a little bit of trial and error. But so I just switched to dodge real quick, and now I'm just painting highlights at 100 to make sure everything's pure white. So yeah, like I said, you're just building your layer mask.
Into it. It looks like Joe asks if you'd ever would you use quick selection for this at all?
Yeah, you could do that for sure. That would work too. I just like to use channels for something that has like a lot of fine detail. Like if you zoom in here, you can see in these rocks, you know, it has a lot of these little like, and sometimes quick select doesn't get that. Of course, you can go in and you can tweak it and you can paint carefully, but I just love channels when I'm like trying to work fast and get it done and then get into the next step.
Yeah, and I do, Joe, by the way, I really like this quick select tool.
Yeah.
I end up using that a lot.
I use that a lot too, especially like when I have a singular area that I need to.
Yeah, Just knock something out really quick. It gets you
Yeah.
like 80% there, and then you go in and do the cleanup like you said.
Exactly. So now just to get the rest of this, because this is all white, I can't really dodge or burn that out. I'm just picking up a black brush and then painting the rest of this in. And of course you can do that later on in your layer mask, but I'm just making it all nice and clean now so we don't have to go back.
Into it. Hey, Steve, what's up, buddy? There's a channel mask effect in the Camera Raw Sharpen feature. That's cool.
Oh.
I like that we have smart people in chat.
I know, I'm always
that
like,
can
oh
like throw out
man,
all these
wish I
really
knew
good
that.
tips and stuff. Because I didn't.
Yeah,
Didn't use
so
that.
cool. All right, so now what you want to do is Command or Control click on your green layer or your green copy, and then we're just going to go back over to layers and then hold down Alt. You don't have to, but it will make sure we get the right selection here, and then click Layer Mask. And there we go, just like that, we got it all cut out. Like, this is really, really nice because you can see it gets everything. And we can refine that a little bit. You know, I even like to blur the layer mask a little, especially with something like this where it's so far in the background that it would naturally be blurry. When you add the sky in, we'll blur that a little bit, blur that layer mask, and then everything seamlessly blends together.
Yeah. Sounds good. It's just like a process
Yeah.
of
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing is like we, you know, show you guys these things while we're live and stuff, but like to be honest with you, a lot of my edits end up taking hours and hours and hours, like if I sat down the whole time, or days. You know, I was working on the one I'll show you guys tomorrow, and it took me like a week going back to it, working on a little bit, going back, working on a little bit more, like then tweaking it again. So, you know, don't get discouraged if you're ever working on something you're like, this is taking me forever.
Wait, for this one it was taking you forever?
No,
Or
no,
a
the one
different
we're working on tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one's
That's
easy.
that's actually like really good advice though, because like something is not working, you step away, work on something else, and then you like come back. And
Yeah.
then, oh, okay, that's what's
Yeah.
wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to share
think that's
the
good.
process of tomorrow's piece with you guys because it ends up, you know, you'll see all the little things that I was like frustrated with that I had to take a day off and go back to, like to the point where I was ready to throw my computer across the room. And you know, getting advice from friends always helps
Yeah.
too. Like, what's wrong with this? And they're like, well, you
Get some
can't.
fresh eyes.
Exactly.
You're too close to it.
Exactly.
You're trying to work while driving, working a mouse, and you have your laptop and it's bouncing up and down. Just like send it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Hello, Emily, fellow Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design alumni. Cool. Yeah, thank you, Peter, for that tip as well. So people are giving us all sorts of cool tips.
What did he say back?
About if you hold down the Control and Alt key or Option key, and you drag, you can drag your change your brush size.
Oh yeah.
So hold that. See if that will work.
So control.
And usually you have to. It might. Let me actually do this real fast. Licensing an image. So hold down those two. Do you have a brush? It should be. Or is it Command? It might be Command and Alt.
Oh yeah. And then
We'll work on it. I do know of that tip, and yeah.
I know there's so many shortcuts in Photoshop, and it ends up being kind of hard to keep track of them.
I
all.
do like that because it usually gives you a red dot, and it shows you how hard the edges are.
Yeah, yeah, and I know like if you're using a tablet, that makes it even easier because then you can just drag up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's add some cool backgrounds in here. I have a bunch of different things to show you guys, and then you can pick which one you guys like best.
Oh yeah, there we go. I got it. Switch to my screen. Or it's probably not that big of a deal, but here, again, as Joe says, all I'm doing is the Control key and Option key or Alt key.
Okay.
So if I drag up and down, can you see that? Here, let's zoom in. This is gonna make it really confusing. Maybe not. Zoop. And then I'm just changing the size
So
by
which are
dragging
you
to the
holding?
left and right.
Control
and I'm
and
holding
Alt?
Control and Alt or Option. And then up and down does the hardness. But again, the nice thing is you could actually see visually, and you're not looking in another dialogue to see how hard it is or soft it is or whatever. So yeah, cool.
That's awesome.
Apparently everybody knows that tip. Eric's like, yeah, Control and Option guys on the canvas. Like,
I know, we're like, what?
stop it, I'm just gonna, I don't know what to do.
Yes, Howard says we need voice control in Photoshop. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Hey, don't think that hasn't been a sneak
I'm
in
sure.
Adobe Max before. Photoshop, do my work for me.
Yes. Okay,
That'd be nice.
So now, let's see. I'm gonna place some backgrounds.
Oh yeah, Nuno,
Let's
what's
see if I can
up?
just
Good to have you
select-
here, Nuno.
All of these. Nope. I'm gonna actually open these.
I'm curious to see if anybody else has been to Monument Valley. I know somebody said that they've been there. It seems pretty cool. Perfect place to do photos.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have a bunch of different pictures. I'm just gonna drop these all in and then we're gonna look at them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Super exciting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. That's gonna be a nice one because that kind of matches the tones. The blue ones will be interesting. That'll be, oh wow, UFOs.
I know, except where are the ones? Oh, they're still down in my downloads.
Oh wow, I didn't know you could do that. Directly from your downloads folder, drop it in.
Yeah.
You can control if it gives you the transform controls when you drop in an image. That's a preference, in case you don't want that.
This one I really like. So it made these smart objects and not the rest, but that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, Kevin, Google Maps, does Google Maps count as far as going places? Because let's face it, Google Maps and Street View is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, it's a great way to look around. Okay, so this is one that I really liked and I wanted to kind of play with. And let me just show you guys what this will look like so you're not like, what is she doing? This is a daytime scene. We're gonna change it all to a nighttime scene. So if we come over here, I will turn that on and turn all of the masking on that I did, or the colors, and then there you can see I turned it into a nighttime scene with this background.
Yeah, and I'm totally interested in the different adjustment layers and stuff that you've added as well.
We're gonna get into all of that and play with some different backgrounds. So you can see like this is what it looks like when we're working on it. This is what it will hopefully look like when we're done, and the huge difference between the two. So we have this background. Let me just place this here. And I'm just kind of fitting it so that we can get that little mountain that's showing up here below our mountains. All right, so we have that option.
Into it.
Slow little transform here. My computer's like, what are you doing? All right, and then I really like this one too. This looks super cool. Let me just size this. And this is why you want things to be smart objects, especially if you're sizing back and forth and moving things, because if you don't have them as smart objects, then you're gonna lose resolution, which is never fun. So then we have some lightning.
Oh yeah,
Chat and
we have not
win.
only lightning, but we have fireworks. It's time for Chat and Win right now. Let's launch into it right now. Welcome back, everyone. Just go ahead and say something in chat. That way we know somebody's at the other end of your keyboard, basically. And we will draw a name. You'll win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. So that's the goal.
I love Sticker Mule. These are actually from Sticker Mule.
Oh, I love, yeah, that one's so cool. I'm very into it. I like how you place that there. Cool, so say if you've been to Monument Valley or where you're going next, anything, you could say hello. I wonder if hello is an actual place.
Probably.
Like, hello, Montana. This would be so confusing, but kind of fun.
Yeah. I'm going to hello.
I'm going to hello? Fantastic, and congratulations to Shauna Williams, as you can see right here. It's our winner of 100 free stickers from Sticker Mule.
I'm jealous.
And what we do is we just show up at your house and just start slapping them everywhere. That's the prize. I don't know, you get like sticker bombed or something.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
Awesome.
We'll do giveaways. And we also have this where you can get 10 stickers for $1, Adobe Live 20. Just our gift to you to say thank you for hanging out with us, because we appreciate you and everybody taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us, wherever today might find you.
I should use
Cecilia's going to Boise. I like Boise.
Ooh, cool.
Boise's interesting. It's like a little more north. I remember being there in the wintertime, and it'll be like 9 p.m. at night, and it'll still be light out.
Wow.
You know, which is just, it's very messes with your head.
I've never been there.
Yeah,
I saw
it's pretty cool.
someone in the chat asked where we were getting these pictures from, and yes, forgot to mention that Adobe Stock. Adobe Stock is like my go-to for all stock images. Of course, not even just to shout out Adobe here, but like the best images, everything you can imagine, even things as crazy as UFOs like this. I'm always looking for like weird sci-fi stuff, and I feel like Adobe Stock's the only place I can find it. So.
Oh, see, that's good. And you can always contribute as well for the photographers out there.
Yes.
To Adobe Stock and things like that, because,
Yeah. All right, so.
Go a little larger on this, too.
Oh, yeah, let's zoom in here. Oop. I'm, like, working on a teeny tiny canvas. All right, so I would love to get your opinions on which background you guys want me to work with. So I have a bunch to show you while we were doing the chat and when I sized everything into place. So we got, just kidding, this didn't stay in place. All right, we got the star background, or the lightning, or the UFOs, or some northern lights, which would never happen in Utah. A sunset, some weird stars and sunset, another sunset, some more northern lights, goes on and on and on, fireworks. And then finally, something I thought was kind of cool is like you guys don't always have to use photos when you're compositing. Like you can use mixed media. I recently got into doing some watercolor and adding some different kind of textures and stuff to my images. So I was even playing with like, what if I added a watercolor Milky Way? So I feel like I don't really like this that much. I feel like it's not my best painting, but my point with this is you can add anything to your pictures and get really creative with it. I once did one where I was looking out the window and I painted a picture of Starry Night kind of in my own style and then added that as to what I was looking out on, and people loved it. So
that is pretty cool. And that's that might be an advanced lesson, because then you gotta like start it to match not the lighting but also the texture.
Yeah,
as well,
exactly.
probably.
And then you have to actually sit down and paint it, which is the whole thing too. So
painting, I'll just download it from Adobe Stock. But
let's see. So people are saying UFOs.
People do like the UFO. Yeah, I can give you my opinion.
What do you think?
Well, I can kind of talk about the ones that like maybe won't work. I definitely like the idea of turning it like into a nighttime type thing.
Yeah,
so that's
I
why the UFO would work. So maybe not some of the sunsets. I think the green one's kind of tough. Some of them look very flat.
Yeah.
And since this photo has such depth, I feel like the sky should have some depth to it.
I agree. Yeah, and of course in Northern Lights, I don't think they'll work because then it's really unrealistic. Because this is an iconic location, and people are going to be like, you were in the Southwest and you saw the Northern Lights. So let's just delete those. Let's delete the painting. Delete fireworks. So maybe we'll play with, I personally still love this one because it has that depth to it.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Eric Samuelson says nighttime, no UFO. The fun thing is we could always like add a UFO later if we care to.
Yeah, and you know what we can do too is let's just start building it as a nighttime image, and then we'll play with some different backgrounds once we have all the what am I trying to say? The adjustment layers.
Yeah.
Once those are in place, then we can add some different backgrounds to see how things look.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Shauna Williams' first love is Photoshop.
Me too. I can't wait to show you guys tomorrow in my story. I'm posting.
Does that mean you're like dating an older man because it did just turn 30?
Hey, I'm 30 now too, so.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're like the same age as Photoshop.
I know. Well, that's what I'm so excited about. Photoshop and I share the same birthday year, so.
Very cool.
Meant to be.
It's meant to be.
Tomorrow in my story, I'm going to be sharing my very first Photoshop creation, which was age 5, and it's a Christmas card that I made for my family.
Oh, wow.
So stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah, into it.
All right, so let's start adding some stuff to this. So the first thing we want to do is probably add like a curves adjustment layer because it's way too bright. So that's usually what I would do. A lot of people like to use exposure or levels, and we can play with that too. But I'm just gonna go to curves, and then I'm gonna make sure that it's clipped to my van. So I'm just gonna click this here. You can also hover in between the layers and hold Option or Alt, and you'll get that as well. All right, so I'm just gonna bring this top point down to make it nice and dark like that. And then you can kind of click in the middle and then maybe add like a bit of contrast back in. So I really like to use just this point on the far right to control everything, like darkening it all the way down with those highlights. So that looks pretty good. And what we're gonna do is start to like paint some areas of lightness back in once we get some things looking cool here.
I feel like you work this way too, usually. Like, can I brag about you for a second?
Sure.
Because you put together the demo asset for Adobe Max
I did.
Keynote.
Yes.
Which was done in a similar fashion. So that whole forest, that was on iPad actually. She made the demo asset for Photoshop on iPad.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. I'd be like, what's up? No big deal.
That was super cool. Yeah.
And it was done in a similar fashion, like make it dark, and then start painting with light.
Exactly. Yeah, if you guys saw the mushroom on Adobe Live, I became known as the mushroom girl for the rest of the day.
The mushroom girl.
That was super cool, but I was like, oh my God. But yeah, that's exactly how it worked. I kind of, will darken everything and then brighten those areas. And that's how most of the pictures that I show on my Instagram, I work like that because I really like to like center that light and that glow.
Yep, and it's less you have to do because you did an overall adjustment. And now you're going to do some like local adjustments, as in painting some areas. But now you're actually adding a little bit of color balance, and shifting those a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, so I just added a color balance adjustment layer, and all I'm doing here is just kind of in the mid-tones, just adding like a bit of blue and magenta and cyan, because typically at night, you're gonna have those cooler, kind of more like, pinky and bluish tones. All right.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we want to add. I'm actually going to add another curves here, and I may not need this, but I did this on the original one and I just really darkened it like almost to black. I might not need it here because our first curves was so dark, but then what I'm going to do is actually invert that one, and I'm just going to save that for a few minutes from now.
Cool.
All right.
Who else? I want to know who else does that, because I will have multiple curves. I'll have multiple adjustment layers.
Yeah.
You think they're canceling each other out, but each one serves a purpose.
Exactly.
Especially in this case.
Yeah, I always do that, and I almost feel like if I can achieve what I'm looking for in one adjustment layer, that I feel like something's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, no, I need 10 adjustment layers.
Yeah. Right.
So, okay, what I'm gonna do now is on this layer mask here, I'm going to paint with black, and I just wanna make sure that my hardness is really low, and then I'm gonna bring my flow down. So I've taught this before on here, but flow and opacity are really great for when you're painting with light, specifically flow, because flow allows you to build to the full opacity really slowly. So if you set your opacity, say to somewhere in the middle, 33%, you're only ever going to get to that full 33% slowly using flow. If you bring it all the way up to 100, you're gonna get to 100%, but slowly based on the amount of flow. So it's a really great way to paint. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is just kind of start to, let's see, I'm gonna even go lower on the flow, maybe even down to like 4% and just
Yeah.
lightly kind of like touch in here. And so I know it's a little weird to be like, why is the van lit now from the front? Why does it have this big shadow if your light's coming from here? But you know, this is a dreamland, this is fantasy, and it doesn't have to be real. Also, maybe the moon's coming up, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a spotlight, maybe there's a car driving down.
It could be a UFO.
Yeah,
just off
UFO.
camera. Some light. Yeah, sounds like everybody's coming out of the woodwork. Good to see you. Feng Wei Lim remembers working in Photoshop 3 and Photoshop 4. Everybody's talking about their first version of Photoshop that they've been using.
I think my first one was CS2.
Okay.
Maybe.
Cool. I'll try. I'm going to try to get an older version of Photoshop on my machine, on this latest one. I had it on my old one, but like to take a preview of that old interface.
That would be
kind of
awesome.
fun to do.
All right, so we're starting to get some light back here. You guys can see we're just starting to get like some focus to that van. And now I'm gonna go back to that curves layer that I added here where we inverted it. Remember, I went all the way black and then inverted it. And what I'm gonna do is just paint these mountains in a little bit more. So
Very cool.
now I'm gonna be painting with a white brush because this is the opposite of our other layer mask. And I just want to do that a little bit to darken all this. I mean, we do have some light coming in from down here. Maybe we could even add like a burst or something to kind of create like some glow.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And like, because that is a warm glow over there. So you could really spend some time on this, like, you know, tackling that's a whole other story, I think, almost. Or
yeah, exactly. I think that could be really cool. We could kind of play with that with an adjustment layer and then also even like painting and adding some blend modes, like just using an orange colored brush and like doing kind of, you know, gotta have the sound effects, right? I wish Photoshop had sound effects, so when you click something, it just was like.
It just needs sounds.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, Howard. Good luck with your recordings. Thanks everybody joining us. Also, like with such, everybody's getting
Bye,
nostalgic.
Howard. So I'm just doing even like a little bit here.
If you wanted to make that a little bit like golden, like to kind of match that background back there, how would you do that?
I mean, I personally would probably use color balance. I like using color balance, but
there's no wrong answer.
yeah, like there's a million ways to do something in Photoshop. So if you guys, you know, are looking at this and you're like, I wouldn't do that the way she just did, then that's fine. You have to use whatever you're comfortable with and whatever works best for your flow. So here, if I wanted to make this more golden, I might, you know, let's see, play with yellows, reds.
Yeah, I kind of tweak that. Sometimes I would actually sample that color and paint.
That's what I would.
With a little bit too, and like, and just see what happens.
Definitely.
And use like blend modes and try some stuff.
I'm gonna for sure do that. I like to always do all the.
Like Joe says.
Oh yeah,
I'm using an overlay brush, so I assume a brush set to overlay.
Yep, I would definitely do that. I usually tend to do, so I kind of, like my flow and what I'm kind of showing you guys here is that I always do the layer masking first, then I put my background in and kind of place everything and get everything set without doing any adjustments. Then I do all my adjustment layers and then I paint a little bit, like with overlay and like different colors.
Okay.
And then I do my glow and like the final burst of, you know, any bright colors. This one's not gonna have a lot of glow, but what we'll do tomorrow will be glowing.
Okay.
And then I do camera raw. So that's just like my flow. I don't like to paint before doing adjustment layers because I like to kind of see how things start to play out.
Yeah, like you wouldn't even know what color to sample with until you had like kind of all the colors and brightness and everything in place.
Yeah, and sometimes I even, you know, if I see a sky, like for example, this one, if I see something that I don't truly love the colors on, I might go in and automatically like adjust that in camera raw right away. So for example, like this sky here in this one, I adjusted it in camera raw before I even started building the image because I knew I liked those pink and orange tones better than kind of like these more muted gray and orange tones. So you can always do that first too if you really want to like give a sky or piece of your image a pop. All right, so let's see, what were we working on? Okay, this color balance here. So I just inverted, whoa, you can see that's kind of cool with all the orange glow in there.
I just like how it has, like, that gives that whole skyline and some depth, that whole silhouette. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I even like what's happening. I mean, I don't know if this would really be realistic, but I even like the warmth that's happening here. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it's not really nighttime, but it kind of just gives like a cool vibe.
Mm-hmm. Since you are working on that, do you know about like, color lookup tables?
Yeah.
Because there's one that's like night from day.
Oh.
Do you want to?
Let's see.
Do you want to try it just for fun? Okay, so load 3D LUT, and then down near the bottom, night from day. And there's like moonlight and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Like super nice. Gets it like really dark.
Yeah.
But that's something, just so everybody knows what's happening here, that's just a bunch of adjustment layers rolled into one. So Anna created hers from scratch. This is just a quick one if you wanted to just experiment.
That's cool. I've never actually used that before.
That's interesting. That really, interesting.
And then let's actually clip that. All right, so you guys can see here's before and here's after just using that LUT.
Yeah. So there's night from day, there's moonlight. There's really only a couple. I guess night from day is the best one.
Let's try moonlight.
Where
is it?
Go.
There it is. Moonlight, there it is.
Yeah, that's even more, a little more blue. It's really, I mean, they're both like really pretty nice. Yeah, super interesting.
It's cool even to put them like together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could even, woo, it's gone. Let's see, let's get rid of one of these at least. Yeah, these are cool because they add, let me just turn that color balance off.
I wish there was a way, and maybe somebody knows, I wish there was a way to break up a color lookup table so we could see all the different adjustment layers.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I'm sure there is a way.
Yeah, you would think there would be. The whole idea of the color lookups is that, you know, they could be made in other nonlinear editing systems, like could be made in like Premiere or Final Cut Pro. But it rolls all that into one look that can be applied to lots of different editors.
I feel like it's almost like a Lightroom preset too, kind of adding like a little
Lightroom,
final touch
Lightroom
over
preset
everything.
Or like you know, an Instagram preset.
Yeah. All right, so I just inverted my color balance layer here. I'm just gonna go back and touch this up before I totally forget and get off track.
Yeah.
So I'm just painting with white to bring some of that like warmth back into this area, which we'll play with again later.
Oh, maybe in camera raw? I don't...
All right. So if we have this color lookup table, we can also kind of come in and mask that a little bit too if we feel like it's too dark on the van.
That's nice too.
Just to give it like a touch of light. And then maybe we just mask out this area back here.
Oh, yeah. And then I guess the question is like whether you would add any adjustment layers to the sky as well. Or
yes,
not.
Definitely. So, and that's kind of like what I was saying about changing the sky in camera raw first, because I immediately knew that I didn't like the sky, that I didn't like the colors, but you can definitely, you know, I think we should play with some adjustment layers on the sky, because I don't like how muddy this looks down here either. I feel like it needs some more pop of color. But yeah, in that instance, then like I always go into camera raw if I immediately know this is exactly what I want to do with it.
Okay.
So we could do that too if you want, or we can just do adjustment layers.
You do whatever you want to do. The nice thing about having you here is we get to just see how you work.
Okay.
Like however you do it, which I love because there's no wrong answer.
Awesome.
And it's just fun. And you think you're an oddball with some things, and you realize other people do the exact same thing.
That's so true. I know. I always love that when I watch other people, and I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. I thought I did that wrong, and everyone else does it too.
Right?
Okay, so then in that case, I am going to go into Camera Raw and just to show you guys like what I would do if I was working on this image for myself. And
that would be awesome. So yeah, so Steve, yes, you can save LUTs from Camera Raw, also from Photoshop.
Cool.
And
Okay.
export menu.
Yeah, I feel like that LUTs are like such a video expert thing. You know, I don't know much about them at all, but they're super cool.
Yeah. They definitely dramatically changed the look of the whole thing.
Oh, for sure.
Which
Yeah, I know
enjoy.
in your Photoshop masterclass you like added it at the end, which I think is really cool to do because it's almost like adding a little filter.
yeah, and I find I end up doing some of the same ones all the time.
But never amber, right?
Never amber. Amber just like it makes it look like you just peed on it. Sorry.
It's
Sorry
really
to be
bad.
vulgar. Sorry, but it's just like it's just orange and gross.
Yeah, it's bad. Joe said, would you always leave the sky as a smart object? No, I wouldn't. I'm leaving it a smart object now because I'm not doing any like actual adjustments to it. But usually once I get something into place and size the way I want, then I will rasterize it. But in this case, I'm actually going to keep it a smart object because then we can edit that camera raw if we want. So if you have something as a smart object and you do camera raw, then it's editable and not destructive. So let's keep it for now.
Cool. Great idea, by the way. Lights. So yeah, Jan Erik says adding the car's headlights
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that would be cool. So good idea.
Yeah,
like let's
love
bookmark
that.
that.
I don't even
That's
know
like a
why I didn't
clever-
even think of that.
It
That's genius.
didn't even occur to me either. I'm like, oh, it's fine. You know how you're like a ghost van? It's pretty much a ghost van right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. It's like, why is it driving?
Actually,
at
that
night
would be really cool to do down this road at night. Just kill the lights.
That'd be so cool. I
just-
bet the
just
stars would be
coast.
awesome.
Yeah, into it.
All right. So for me personally, I know that I like this to be a little bit bluer and a little bit more magenta. So I'm just going to tweak those temperatures a little bit. These are just kind of things I would normally do. I always go into split toning, and I like to make the highlights either kind of orangey or magenta. So let's just do that a little. And then I'm going to make the shadows kind of like this nice blue.
And by the way, we have about 36 minutes before reviewing designs for the Daily Creative Challenge. So get those
Sweet.
in, just a little reminder.
All right. So then I also like to go into the HSL adjustments and mess with the colors a little bit, especially the blues. I'm a big fan of turning blues a little bit teal. I think
Yeah,
it
I
just
know.
looks really pretty.
We know.
Oh yeah,
I'm-
teal and orange all the way.
What? Which is why you'll like the two-strip look.
Ooh, yeah, that
overall.
looks cool.
So let's just do this. And it worked.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Just so you know. So, because I definitely sense it with your Instagram, like it has all your stuff has like a certain look, and you do use teals.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll turn on this color lookup, which is the two-strip, as people know. But see how it changes it? It actually gets rid of kind of the blues and shifts
Yes.
it to more of the pink and other word.
I
teal.
love that. I love that. The other word.
The other word.
Yeah, that's actually like the color palette we use on Leave the Map too. All of our blues always go teal and everything kind of gets like an orangey look. I feel like it looks really cool. You know,
Yeah.
it just has like this nice like
It does.
tropical
Like, and you
vibe
can
or
even
something.
amp that up, by the way, as you stack them.
Yeah.
You get it just amplifies it.
Yeah. All right. So now I might bring the saturation of the blue down just a little bit. Sometimes, you know, when blue gets overly saturated, it ends up looking a little, I don't know, like amateur or weird. I'm sure you guys have seen it before. You know what I'm talking about, where the blue just is like, I have so many sound effects today. What am I doing?
No. It's so good. It is all good.
All right.
Afroja, welcome. Thanks for all the hearts. She's been sending through a blue heart.
Aw.
Or tealish, which we're into it.
Okay, so you can see this is the before and this is the after. It just gives it like, I don't know, a much prettier look to it. I like it a lot better, but that's my taste. So if you guys like this vibe before, then, you know, whatever you like. It's all about that. So, okay. Now, let's just start to, our color or our adjustment layers are starting to look pretty good. Let me just check on these. So we got our curves here. We got our color balance, which is now actually not doing anything. Oh wait, yeah, okay, that's our gold back there. And then we have our overall color balance, and then we have our color lookup table here. So that just really does a good job of darkening everything and then giving it more of a night vibe. I feel like things are getting a little dark and muddy over here. So maybe we can just do a quick sweep of the brush to kind of, a very low flow to kind of like make that all look nice and even.
Gucho, that's a great point about just ways of working in terms of you could put a lot of your content in a folder and apply the adjustment layers to that folder.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. So if she did have more things, if there's a van and a UFO, that's like super smart, or convert it to a smart object. The problem with smart objects, I feel, is that it's then a separate window if you want to edit it.
Yeah.
And it takes you out of that experience.
Yeah, that's
but I
true.
love using layer groups, aka folders.
Yeah. If I was Anna,
Ooh,
I would be like, must resist urge to add TIE
Fighter.
Oh,
by Pixel
yes.
Squid. Pixel Squid's fun.
I know. I actually like don't really use that much, but I think it's so awesome. I need to get a subscription to it.
Yeah, so Pixel Squid is fascinating. Allows you to create 3D. It's very object oriented, so it could have a TIE fighter, for instance, or a UFO.
That would be awesome.
And it's renders. It's 3D models, renders of 3D models. So it's like adding 3D without learning 3D.
Cool. I love it.
So yeah.
All right, so now I just made a new layer, and I think I want to kind of start to paint some of that light coming in from back here that we were talking about and play with some different blend modes. One thing that I'm noticing now that I'm zooming in is I do need to fix the kind of blending between these two scenes of the sky and the rocks.
Yeah.
So we can work on that too. I'm like getting distracted and forgetting all these things that I need to do.
You do your thing. We're just relaxed. We're hanging out. We're just driving a ghost van down a mysterious road. No big deal.
Yeah.
But I love the depth, just even this little shading here.
Yeah.
So yeah, you continue on what you're doing, because I
What
don't
were you
know.
thinking?
I don't know what you're gonna do next. Like I was wondering if because that edge is so sharp, I almost want to blur it.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's usually what I would do probably right now. Maybe we should do that first before we paint anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what I do, especially to kind of like blend the edge a little, sometimes this doesn't work depending on your layer mask, but I'll just go over to the blur tool and I'll go to my layer mask and I'll just blur the edge of the layer mask. And that works really well a lot of times. So let's see if we can get it to work here a little.
Hopefully everybody's got that. Hello, Gawiskan from India. Good to have you here. People from all over the world. Which is fantastic. I love the fact that you're using the blur tool. It's like perfect.
And it's kind of a funny tool because, you know, it's one of those that you forget about because it's kind of, when you first learn Photoshop, you're like, let's blur everything and make text light on fire and do all these liquefies. And then I was like, wow, I can actually use a blur tool in a really good, like, useful way.
Yeah.
Useful.
And I'll sometimes use even like the smudge tool.
Yes,
Which is really good. If you crank that up and just like, because that will kind of obviously smudges it, but it's just a smart tool, I think.
I agree. I love using that on a layer mask, especially if you start to get like some weird creep of lines coming back in. You can
just like shove everything over a little bit, kind of.
Yeah, just like
blur it.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that, you can kind of just push it in.
Yep. See. Yep, love it.
It's so useful, especially if you're cutting people out. Like anytime you try to cut a person out, I feel like I always end up with like weird lines around them. And I feel like the smudge tool just helps kind of blend everything.
Exactly, and it's really good in this case because like as you blur it, I might end up with a little bit of a halo. So like you're getting rid of that like halo effect in case it creeps in.
Exactly. Yeah, it works really well, and I know you can.
Sorry. Slow clap for Fung. You're the man. One thing's not making sense. The sunset is in the west, but the Milky Way is actually happening in the south. Like, I don't understand
I know,
that.
I don't know anything
You're just
about
brilliant.
that, but...
Slow clap for your astronomy knowledge.
I didn't make this background image, so I don't know if that's someone made that. And I got this off of Adobe stock. I don't know if that's not accurate, but...
But fun, good job, because we need people like you around that can point that out before it goes to print.
I know.
Like, just in general, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like...
Yeah, so true. Like, one thing I used to do, you guys are going to probably stop watching when I say this, but I used to put stars in front of the moon, like if I had a crescent moon, and then stars would go like around, all around every side of it. And then I was like, wait, no, there's a moon there. You can't put stars in front of the moon. So
it was a design element.
Yeah, I know.
This is sparkly.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make it sparkly everywhere.
Exactly. I know. I mean, there's definitely things that you have to think about, like scientifically what works and what doesn't. But in Photoshop, everything goes.
And especially when it comes to like flipping images and stuff like this. Like when you're any compositing, you do have to think about all this stuff logically.
Yeah.
Which you could break. And once you know that stuff, you could also break the rules when you're ready. Totally fine.
So true. Yeah. And like looking at where lighting sources are coming from, like I mentioned when we first started working on this, like it's weird that there's a shadow here, but maybe there's a reason for that, and maybe we can build that reason. So you just want to kind of like start to think realistically, but then also creatively at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know if any of that's true, by the way, because Steve does point out the sun is setting in the north. Sun doesn't set in the north. But we get what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Where the constellations are.
Yeah.
In comparison to even where we are, like on this specific road, if you want to get that specific.
Right.
But people will pick that apart. If you're making like a movie poster, people will call that out on Reddit.
That is true. So, I guess, this photo is actually facing west, so the sunset makes sense. Maybe the Milky Way doesn't make sense. I don't know. We'd have to look into that.
I would even love to see and like continue working, because this is one of those projects we can spend a lot of time on. I could even see you removing the shadow of the van and casting that forward.
Yeah.
Or adding, like the whole idea of adding lights was kind of a fun idea. Or like, can you light up, I wish there was light from the inside, like maybe it's I don't know.
Yeah, that
from
would be
the
sweet.
Dash was like, I don't know, there's so much you could do.
I know, we can play with that.
Yeah.
Well, people are getting really into science over here.
Yeah, I know. Enough science talks. This is like Photoshop.
Yeah, this is Photoshop.
We're over it. Photoshop's turning 30. It's graduated. It hasn't read a book since it's graduated college. No, just joking. Yeah. I'm talking about the average American citizen, by the way. Like, hasn't read a book since they graduated college. But Photoshop's like, I've had a professional job for a while. I don't need you telling me about where the sun sets.
I know. Photoshops. I live in a different world.
I'm in a different world. I just moved to the burbs.
Yeah.
Just joking.
I like Carol
Photoshop
said.
knows everything.
Yeah. Carol said, but when you use Photoshop, you can move the heavens. I love that.
True.
That's perfect.
Quotable.
All right, so I'm playing with a
stuff.
field blur here. I still don't fully know how to use field blur, but if you put different points like on the image, you can control where the blur is. So it's really good for depth of field and everything. I don't really think we need it so much in this picture because the sky would be a little bit blurred if your focus was on the van. And because we're seeing the blur back here in the mountains, then our sky would be blurred too, because that's not going to be in focus realistically. But yeah, so with this, you can then add, you can just click and add points so you can actually control the way the blur spreads. I'm not going to do that though, because I don't know it well enough to teach it.
No, you are good. I think for the field blur, it's just the fact that you can add multiple blurs, which is nice.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Like I've used it a few times if I'm, trying to do a fake depth of field. Then that works a lot better. Usually I would use Gaussian blur. But in this, it works a lot better. So,
yeah, we have some exciting stuff coming tomorrow as well. With the update to Photoshop, we have some cool lens blur effects that I'm excited to show.
Yes, that's going to be super fun.
Like controlling the depth after the fact of what you're focusing on. So anyway.
Cool. All right, I'm excited for that. So, okay, now we got a little bit of blur to the background. Things are starting to blend a little bit better. Let's go back to this layer that we made that I forgot about and do a little painting in here. And then let's start to add some lights from the van, especially even these lights here on top of the van, they light up too. So maybe we could play with those.
That'll be just fun to play with.
I know.
Paint and stuff like that.
Plus we have, what, 25 minutes left, 30 minutes left of the stream, so we might as well start to play.
Scott, great. Everybody is so smart. Scott Newsom brings up the point of like, you know, since there isn't a lot of direct light, at least that shadow should be like a little lighter. Great point.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's good stuff. And this kind of all comes back to like studying night photos at night, like how, because we've all seen movies, by the way, you know, they shot it during the day and then they changed it to night.
Yeah,
and you could just, you're like, something's off about it.
Yep, totally.
And you're keen with that, so that's good.
Yeah, I feel like if we're spending a lot of time on this, and today we'll do a little of this, those are little things that you definitely want to start to pay attention to. And that's a great idea, Scott, about lightening the shadow, because I actually started, when I was working on this the other day, I got rid of the shadow, and then it looked like the van was cut out.
Yes, that's a
like,
good
that
point.
looks weird, you know?
Yeah, even if, that's a great point.
Like, even, I'll just show you guys, I'm going to keep forgetting about my little...
Such a good point.
I'll just show you guys how weird this starts to look. I'm just gonna clone stamp. And I'm just doing this roughly.
Yeah, definitely, it's cut out.
Like, look how weird that would be. I mean, of course, that looks really bad, but if we got rid of that shadow completely, it's like, what is that van doing there?
Yeah.
So yeah, you do need to either change the shadow or lighten it. Like I liked your suggestion, Paul, of bringing the shadow like coming from this direction, so that it moves out this way.
Yeah, and even making it lighter. Like, actually, go ahead and lighten, let's see
if we...
Yeah, just play with the transparency of that. Like, and you're right, maybe it's not casting that far, but that even looks pretty good. Like, lightening it up a touch. Since we are live and we can, take your suggestions, and we got a lot of smart people here that have been working in Photoshop for 30 plus years.
I know.
It's its birthday. We have a cake right over there. I don't know why the candles are still lit on it. 30 of them. It's probably going to be a fire alarm going off any second. But that's what we do when it's Photoshop's birthday. I would love, Carol, by the way, I would love to see the van look like it's getting raised up or like kind of like teleported up into a UFO.
Ooh.
So it's just like coming off and like you had some light on the top. That would be fun.
I think that might be a whole day's
project.
That's
a whole other, I know. Everybody's like, why don't you just do this?
I know.
Well, I only have 30 minutes left. And again, time check, 20 minutes till design feedback time. For the Daily Creative Challenge.
All right, so here's just a little lightening of that, and I added a layer mask to it too, so I could kind of like keep it darker here and blend it out a little.
Into it.
So you can see that automatically looks a lot better.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Like, here's before, here's after. So, that could use a lot more work and a lot more time with it, but it at least is starting to look a bit more natural, so.
Cool. Thank you, John, for that. The suggestions on the shadows.
Yeah.
That already, yeah, right. Even as you zoom out, you can see that it does look better. It's not as striking.
Yeah.
That long shadow. So well played.
Yeah, and then you could even play with, like I mentioned earlier, kind of, what is creating the light over here? Is there something here that's glowing? Is there like a burst of light coming from that side? Is like something from your pixel squid coming? I don't know.
Right.
You get creative with it. So, okay. Now I am going to sample this color back here, and I'm on my brush tool and just holding down Alt. You can just kind of continue to hold Alt as you brush. So that's a really good little tip for when you're painting, so you don't have to go back and forth between the eyedropper and the brush tool.
Oh yeah, that just looks beautiful. I know you weren't crazy about that side of the image, but like that part just looks cool.
Yeah, I really like the way that kind of color coming in is starting to look. So, let's see, I want more of A little bit brighter.
Nor, good call. The van is the UFO. You can have it just like a little light inside, and the person driving it's like an alien.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Love that. Okay, so now we can play with some different blend modes too, you know, maybe like even screen, kind of like really brightens that up. Got some color dodge, giving it a little glowy effect. Overlay is always great. Love overlay.
Cool Deep, good call. Like, yeah, the front tires like that because we just dropped that in really fast. For time's sake.
What did someone say
I think
about
it's
the
just
tire?
because I don't know if it's because the front tire is
yeah,
missing
the front
right there a
tire
little
is
bit.
like
We get it. I get it. Good eye. Good eye.
Yeah, let's see. Let's go check that out.
Yeah, I hear green aliens don't use UFOs anymore.
Yeah, the front tires.
I think they drive hybrids because they're green aliens.
Ooh.
I like how everybody points out something specific, like, whoa,
I know.
that little spot.
I'm like, how am
it's
I
like,
ever
hey.
going to get anything done?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's good though. All right, so we painted that tire back in a little bit. Hopefully that's better. But yeah, like I said,
that
it
looks
would,
good.
you know, you've got to spend time with it, and we don't have the time to spend. So, so
That's an Anna move, by the way. As I look at this part, that left side of the
yeah.
image, it's an Anna move.
oh yeah, just
I like
added
it.
a little overlay to that. Look at that, already looks a lot better. Let's zoom in here. So this is before, and then this is after, like just a subtle little touch to kind of help that pop. And then when we're, you know, do the overall look, we'll pop that even more. All right, so let's start playing with some glow things, my absolute favorite, and start to do some headlights and maybe some crazy stuff happening inside the van. What do you guys think?
I think it sounds awesome.
All right, let's see.
Love glows.
So one of the ways that I do glow is with a color dodge. And let's see, so I'm going to change that, or sorry, color burn. Let's see. We were talking about doing some green glow. I'm just gonna put this on normal first. Oh yeah, starting to get the alien look.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do color dodge here, and I keep saying color burn, color dodge, I'm getting all confused. And so you can see if we go from normal to color dodge, it doesn't really look like much. So what we need to do is double click on it and go into the blending options, and then we need to turn off transparency shapes layer. So let me just show you guys, if I click, like this is before and this is after, so you can see it does unfortunately decrease that glow because we're working on a black background, but this is how you start to get that exact glow look. So let's just turn transparency shapes layer off, and then we're gonna start to paint in some of this green stuff. So if we come up all the way to 100, you can see that now we start to get kind of like a glow brush. So if we
That is
go
cool.
back here and turn this back on, now it's not
Okay.
glowing,
Yeah.
now it is.
Yeah. Transparency shapes layer.
And then we could do this with the headlights too. So I just have some green mess happening right now, but let's go in with kind of like a orangey and paint in some of the headlights a little bit. I'm gonna turn this green off for now.
I totally want to get you an alien. Like find you just like a little green alien, just like a little light on this, just a little.
Want to?
I do. I can take a look.
All right, so now I'm painting not in my blend modes. I'm just painting with normal to show you guys kind of like the process. And then we can change it to color dodge. And then we'll double click again and transparency shapes layer, turn that off. And so now you can see, again, starts to have that glowy look. So that's not realistic, like you'd have to really kind of build this slowly, and that's the whole thing with glow. So let's just erase these. And let's start working on them. So usually what I do is I'll start with a low flow and then start to kind of like build the glow. By the way, I have little shameless plug here. I have a whole course all about glow on my website. So if you guys really want to learn the details of this, you can learn that from me. And you'll learn like 10 different methods to make glow, which we don't have time to do today, but this is a little preview of some of this stuff. Nice. So you can kind of play with some different colors and stuff and kind of, you know, these would look at, so that already starts to look, you know, slowly building it, you're starting to get some color in there. And then you need to like keep building it until you get that white in the center. So just like how an actual light would work.
Yeah. And again, just studying light, and if something looks off, just go ahead and just Google images on lights at night.
Yeah.
Just compare your stuff to real photos and see what you're missing.
Exactly.
And I like how you're showing how to, you know, obviously replicate that or duplicate it. You know, kind of brighter in the center. You know, typically like brighter and whiter. Fruit Pixels, welcome. I just like your name, Fruit Pixels.
I like that
Here's a
too.
little fruit.
Thank you for sharing my glow course, Sam.
Fruit Pixels here.
Yeah, Fruit Pixels. Love it. So you can kind of see, like, this is just kind of a long, slow process. When I do glow, like, again, the one I'm going to show you guys tomorrow, we're only talking about glow. And, well, not only, but it's one of the big lessons. And like I said, that took me, you know, a long time to start to get everything. But you can start to see, like, those still aren't realistic. Let's erase our headlights because they look really bad and distracting. You can see that now we're starting to get a little bit better here. And then, you know, you could get rid of those shadows, and then you could start to build the glow down here and start to have it reflecting. You want to remember that glow is going to be reflecting on things, so you would reflect it up here on the fans down here. And again, like, just kind of thinking about painting slowly over everything.
And also you got to think, I guess, about what your final output is. Because if you're doing Instagram, like, how detailed should you get, knowing, I mean, first of all, the details, devil's in the details. They do matter.
Right.
But also you got to probably cut yourself off at some point. Like,
right.
Is anybody really going to notice this, knowing they're viewing it on the phone about this size?
Exactly. It's so true.
You know.
I don't know, can you go over to my page real quick?
I will
so
gladly.
We can show some people what I'm talking about, because I feel like this isn't, you know, this is going to take a while to build up those lights.
Like this one, right?
Or go to my Instagram page.
Oh, sorry. Boop. There we are.
All right, and then scroll down. And let's see, okay. Click on the, let's see. So I want to show you guys this real quick. Here is an example of when
When you passed out at Burning Man?
Yeah, when I painted a lot of glow. So here's the before, and then here's after. So, and I used UFOs, and
that's fun.
I like painted the whole glow from scratch, you know, and just like slowly kept building it up. And this was like kind of the same concept that we're working on now with the van, where it goes from night or from day to night. Here is another one where it started like that, and then I slowly painted the glow so it was like that. So you can see the process we're using on the van is like this very slow build.
Very into it. I'm even into this one. This is super fun too. Is this painted at the same location?
That was at White Sands National Park. It now is. It was a national monument, and couple days after we were there, it became a national park. So that was super cool.
I don't even know the difference really.
National monument is just not, well, national park is national park. I don't know how to explain it, but
I feel like you play at a park, but you can't really play at a monument as much.
Right. I mean, that is true. National park is just higher on the ranking of the government-owned parks, I guess. Not explaining that well. But okay, let's see. All right. Should we work on like some green glow or something? What do you guys want to work on? Yes, someone said we're losing texture in the light. That is true, but you're not going to see a lot of the texture if the lights are actually turned on. And like I said, this isn't really, what I'm showing you here is not the way I would, not the final project or process. You would continue to paint in there to bring that texture back in, and we just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So, you can go in and you can actually start to erase a little bit too and continue to tweak this till you get everything, let's see, looking really good.
Yeah, Jan Eric, you're right. So, and that's even something Anna said at the beginning, is she is working at a print resolution. So yes, ultimately you do wanna, the devil is in the details. But I know people can just get lost in it, and then you're like, people aren't even gonna see this because it's just posted once.
Yeah.
Again, I just noticed I've been maybe over sharpening a little bit. For Instagram, I boost up the sharpening. Mm-hmm. So I'm also interested in your sort of finishing effects.
All right.
After a while, what are the sort
if
of the
we were
final,
done with this.
if you were done with it.
Okay.
Some of those final effects.
Yeah. So let's get rid of this light painting because we're not going to use that. Although I do want to work on the headlights, but we're running out of time today. So
headlights that was a fun idea.
I know. Should we just leave that? I don't know. Maybe we can
add whatever you want.
Headlights really quick because I love the idea of doing that.
Shoot! Do we? Okay, we still have time. I'm just checking on time. I didn't see the little clock down there telling me you still have time to get your challenge submissions in. And it's because I messed with it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm sorry. Paco's I'm fired. He just gives me a little bit of control, and I just take it.
So it's in the stream key, but it's all good.
Okay.
I figured out what it is in stream key.
Yeah.
This looks so bad.
Yeah, this is gonna be. It's honestly just gonna be a really tough one because it means adding so much.
Yeah, it
and
has
lots of studying too, because I think you'd have to
studying.
look at the light and see how, how much it gets cast on the pavement and everything.
Yeah, exactly. You really, really need to think about it and work on that. So, great idea. Maybe I'll work on that later and I'll post it on Instagram and I'll show you guys.
Super fun. I mean, that's heading in the right direction, but I think you
Totally.
already covered a lot of that with the lights above.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
So let's go into kind of the final things with this. I would probably want to continue tweaking these adjustment layers because it's, looking dark, as we said, maybe we add something over here. So those are just the final notes on that. But then always what I do before I get everything ready to post to Instagram is I put everything in camera raw. And I've showed you guys this a few times if you've been on my other streams, the last time and the time before. I always like to end everything with camera raw. So let's just go ahead and do that real quick. Oh, I never got to show everyone the other background options now that we've painted everything dark. So let's just do that first. Here's for those of you that wanted the UFOs.
Oh yeah, a light. Oof, that's pretty cool.
I know. So this could be really fun because now, like that image that I showed you guys with where my body was painted, you could really start to bring that UFO light down and put it over the van. You could even bring it over so that this one UFO was taking up the van.
Or I like the idea of the alien that's just he's leaving, and there's the alien that's in the van, and the other UFOs are chasing after him, and he's in the van. Come out of here!
That sounds super complicated. I don't know if I could make that. Maybe we'll work on it together.
I swear we could totally make that alien. Just a little bit of light, just you have to look at it, and you're like, oh, that's an alien.
Yeah. Oh, someone said it needs a flying cow. I agree. That's perfect. But so then you can see that all these different backgrounds now start to work a bit better now that we've darkened things. This you would obviously lighten a little because it's a sunset, but it starts to have that more silhouette sunset-y look that you would realistically want.
Yeah, I like that one.
I love this one. I just love the clouds. I think it's so pretty. But
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I like it too. And you haven't posted this yet, right?
No, I have not.
At all. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I feel like it still needs some work on it.
Okay.
I was feeling like this looked pretty good. This is the one I was going with, but now from everyone's feedback, I definitely want to change things. Which is so good,
by the way. Everybody's especially the whole comment about that shadow. I think that's the big thing I'm noticing. it might just be that simple tweak, and I don't know. Yeah, I just really appreciate everybody in the.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for everyone's comments on this because, yeah, I think lightening the shadow was like such a great idea. I didn't even think of that. You know, my thought was just remove it, which looked bad, and I didn't think to lighten it. So I think that's awesome. And then now that we've kind of, you know, played with this and things are extra dark, I kind of almost like the even darker look better. And then, of course, adding the headlights. So I might go back and work on this a bit more and kind of tweak it based on what everybody said.
Yeah, very into it. Can you give us a sneak? I don't know if you can give us a sneak preview of what you're going to do tomorrow. I mean, we still have time, by the way. But,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
we can always do that.
First,
Or
I'll
not.
show you guys
Do
the
it.
finishing touches on this, and then I'll just show a sneak
So
peek.
sorry.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Did we have any time after the design feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll do it then. Okay, so I'm selecting all the layers, and I'm going to go, let's see, Alt-Command-E. Does that not work? Let's see. Sometimes it works.
Alt-Command-E. Oh, you're smashing everything in a new layer.
Why did it not?
I always,
did I not
I
copy
always
everything?
forget that. I used to know it, and then it fell out of my brain, and
I know. So I just dragged them and copied them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why.
that's a very good pro shortcut too, because I don't think it's really listed anywhere.
Yeah,
You know, it's not in the flyout menu.
yeah, it just, I don't know. So
Shift Alt Command, Joe says. Shift Alt Command E sounds like something it would be.
like,
sounds
why
really
is it
complex
so
and
many
hard.
buttons?
Sounds about right.
Yes. Okay, so I just cropped that so we didn't have a lot of extra background, and now my computer is gonna blow up. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Camera Raw filter. Actually, first what I wanna do is make this a smart object. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, the reason I'm doing that for Camera Raw is because then Camera Raw will be editable. So if we decide we do a bit too much or not enough, then we can go back.
Yeah, and so whoever was asking earlier, you are just working with her MacBook Pro on the little touchpad.
Oh, yeah. And I saw someone somewhere in the comments asked if I use a tablet. And I use my iPad, but I don't actually use a legit tablet. So I link my iPad to my Photoshop.
Okay, very cool.
All right.
And on that note, tomorrow we'll be showing a lot of Photoshop on the iPad, which will be fun because we have some updates there, and it's going to make things,
Yeah.
easy.
All right, so now we're in Camera Raw, and this is just kind of where I do all the final touches, you know, a little bit. If you're familiar with Lightroom, it's exactly like this, and I showed you guys this a little bit earlier. But, you know, just to do kind of all the final color tweaks when everything's merged together. So now it's similar to how Paul likes to add his color lookup table, how you might add a Lightroom preset, or how you might add a filter on your iPhone. This is a very similar method. So I'm just doing the split toning here to kind of give everything like the Anna McNaught vibe.
Yeah, into it.
And then what I really like to do is come into the radial filter, and that's where I start to pop these areas that would have like a lot of color and a lot of intensity. So I'm drawing a circle around this, and then I'm going to make sure it's on the inside and that the exposure is up a little, and then that it's kind of like warm tones. So you can see we can really kind of, you know, bring that like to the extreme, or just do like a little touch, and it starts to look cool, and then you can kind of bring it out.
It's just, you feel so powerful, and it's just so nice and easy, and you just get these like instant results with this. You know?
I know.
Just like, like this, like it's like popping.
That's why I love Camera Raw, because it's like the final little just, you're like, okay, it looks kind of good. It's like whatever. And then you put it in here and you're like, yes! You know, you could even add that light source that we were talking about. Like, where is this light coming from? Well, you know, you can control that. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add like a big one here, bring this way down, and just kind of tweak this a little.
So yes, the stream is being recorded. We're recording it, and can be viewed later. But it's only Photoshop's 30th birthday once, and that is basically we're celebrating this week.
Yes. So
Cake's
now
right over there. We'll have it in a second before
Yeah.
the fire alarm goes off, hopefully.
So now I'm adding a graduated filter and just kind of bringing this down from the sky to kind of like darken and bring that focus into the picture. And you could again bring this up from the bottom. And I'm just doing this fast, to show you guys we're at the design feedback challenge time. But let's see real quick, tweak these colors again, bring that into teal a little bit more. You can play with the magentas, and I'm just gonna click OK. And so now you can see, here's the before and here's the after. So it just it gives that really beautiful, final pop of color, final look to everything. Once you're done with all your compositing, once everything's looking good, then you do this and it's boom, ready for Instagram, ready for your website, ready to print, whatever you're doing. Really, really awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that is cool. And then I guess you didn't really, do you do any sharpening? Do you do any of that in Camera Raw, or maybe you just don't do it?
I didn't sharpen this one. Sometimes what I actually do, so again, this is why Smart Filter's great for this, or yeah, the Smart object, so we can double click and go back into this and now do the sharpening that you're mentioning.
Yeah, if you needed to or not. But honestly, I guess with most of your work, it's very ethereal and smooth and glowy, and especially when it comes to sharpening anything with a blur, you'll get that banding.
Exactly.
Which is not
desirable. So I actually end up using noise reduction more than sharpening. So I'll come in here and to kind of give it that smooth look that you're talking about. But then I also sometimes will do a little sharpening and then I mask it so that just the whites are sharp and the blacks are dark. So you can see here. If you hold down Alt, then you can see the whites are getting sharp and the blacks are getting nice and smooth depending on how much you do this. So just kind of maybe a little bit in here. Get out of there, painting. All right, and just like that, we have our before and after, and then we have our extra before and after. What do you guys think?
I'm into it. I think for sure compared to the original. But I think even the edits you made really allow you to focus more on the image as you added that gradated filter or whatever, graduated, whatever. Yeah. Super cool. Yeah, I'm into it. I really like it. And this is the one you did today, because I know you made one and kind of prep for this.
Yeah, so this is the one I made the other day just to kind of practice this. And you can see I actually made it a bit warmer, and then here is today's. So
I really like that. I'm into that.
I like today's a lot better. I feel like it looks much cooler. No pun intended, but literally the cool temperature of it makes it much better.
Yes. And honestly, I got to thank even a lot of the people in chat who were giving good advice and things like that.
Yeah,
you're another
I agree.
set of eyes and that's why we also do design feedback in general. You need another set of eyes, regardless whether they know Photoshop or not. I'm sure you show this to James, right?
Yep.
And different people hey, does this look weird?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother is the person I always share everything to. Of course, I show it to James too, but my brother, James will say, "That looks great, I love it," and he's, my biggest supporter. But my brother will be like, "You're horrible." No, he won't ever say that, but he'll be like,
in a nice way.
Yeah, he's like, "That's not really quite right. That doesn't look good. You need to do this, that, and the other thing." He's not afraid to upset me about it, which I don't get upset. So that it's a good balance. He's the only person that can tell me that I'm bad at something, and I take it in an okay way.
Yeah, he's like, I'm family, so you have to love me.
Exactly.
I can say this stuff to you.
Exactly. I'm like, you can insult me, and I won't have my feelings hurt.
That is awesome. No, I think it's looking really good, and I'm sure you'll take a second alone with it, but we can't wait to see when this is posted to.
Yeah.
Of course, Instagram.
Yeah.
So cool. We'll switch gears because it's our chance to kind of put a spotlight on you, just so you know, like literally right in your house. There should be a spotlight. So here's the Daily Creative Challenge is what we're doing. Thank you so much for Kathleen kicking it off today, which is dealing with blend modes. You can watch that video. You can always post this link, but behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. Here's the starter file. So again, Photoshop turns 30 this week, so which is awesome. But you could download these starter files just to give you an idea of what the starter file looks like. So now we'll jump in and take a look at some of the ones that actually were made. And again, it's just to have fun, right? And learn Photoshop. Here's Kathleen. God bless her. Let's go ahead and add that. Ralph did a good job kind of dropping in here. Do you like the pattern I added to the text? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I like the idea. I mean, what are your thoughts, actually? I know what I think. I'll talk your ear off.
I mean, I definitely like the idea of adding a pattern. I think that looks super cool. It reminds me of, I don't know, you know that like fake plastic stuff that you get that has like that rough texture to it?
Uh-huh.
Of course, I can't think of what it is, but it looks just like that.
Okay, yeah.
Like that they make playgrounds out of and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. And it's very interesting because I think you're mixing digital with real world is what I'm getting. So I think the whole idea of adding texture in here is a good idea. I'm not sure it's the right texture, to be honest with you.
Right.
But it's the right intention for sure, especially when it comes to this big text. It can be a slap in the face if it's all one solid color and has a big contrast between that and the background. But it's super fun. Like this
I definitely agree with that.
Okay, good. So Ralph's turning awesome. Let's go ahead and check. Darian had fun with the Tron influence, of course.
So cool.
Okay, got a little Tron back there. I'm into the swooshiness.
Whoa.
That's kind of fun, right?
I really like the swooshiness going around the O there because it almost kind of adds some depth to it. I think you could even play with that a bit more, you know, and do that on the O's to almost make it look like they're 3D or something.
Yeah, it would be really fun to convert this to a smart object and then play with like liquefy. Kind of, it's the same idea that you're saying. It's like maybe it somehow is distorted through effects. But again, it is only day one, so let's go easy. Harry's doing awesome. Ooh, I love this. Like, I love going Flandier, going a little bit wild, Polaroid vibe.
Love it.
I hope the text is clear enough. Yeah, it works for me.
It's very California, like beachy vibes. I like it.
Fun font, you know. Typically, you do have to be careful with script font, doing them in all caps. Can be a little tricky thing, but I like that you're adding character.
Yeah.
And it's not a boring font, to say the least.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like it works in this case, but I do agree with script font in all caps is a touchy area. You know, I've seen it on signs sometimes around places, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're making a road sign or like a restaurant sign.
They're like, we're fancy, but we want you to stop. We want you to stop here, but we're trying to be fancy about it.
Yeah.
But great job with the texture there, like the retro Polaroid vibe. Nailing it.
Love it. Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love whatever is happening to Photoshop, like the overlay look and the background that's coming up with it. Just like the colors, it's like this icy blue mixed with a very like Photoshop-y teal. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Great job with the color combo. Same intensity. There's this interesting like divide. There's a lot of smart things happening here. Because this is almost the golden ratio right here. When you put somebody in there, like don't have them looking outside of, they're looking toward the type. I mean, really.
A lot of good, really strong design elements happening here. Yeah. I also like that they took the T and had that, you know.
That's like fun. And I didn't even really notice it. And I'm like, oh.
I know.
You read it just fine, so. Just, Agaba's just following instructions.
Yes.
And
it looks so nice and clean, though.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, It's like, great job at following instructions. I think if you can do that, that's all you need to really like know to get started, and then you can kind of tweak it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's what you do when you get started out as a designer. I feel like you throw everything at the design, and as you mature as a designer, you scale it back. And this is like a scaled back version that I'm into, and I'm into like this area here.
Definitely.
It's interesting.
Hey, look who's on, Jason Levine.
What's up, Jason? It's in the house. Whoa, good to see you, buddy. So good to see you. This is really smart too. Good job. Okay, so let's talk about this.
I like the colors.
I do too.
A lot happening with it, but it's like, it's really interesting to look at. And, you know, I love that. What do you call that, like, webbing effect? And not over this part here.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
code almost or something.
This part right in the center?
Yeah, what do you call that? It's like the way the internet webs
I don't
out or
know.
something.
Yeah, okay, I get the vibe of all of that. Totally works. Yeah, I think it's cool. Honestly, I was going to say the font is like spot on, because here's a problem that I have with this font, if we're being honest. This looks like a jersey. A sports
totally
jersey.
agree. I was thinking the same thing.
But here they're like, okay, you know what? This looks a little more correct. I start reading boo since it's at an angle. I don't know. So like something I don't like. I read boo or woo, but I get it. It's 30 just because we've read 30 already. But if you're just introduced to this, does it say boo, like bow Photoshop?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I could see that.
Into all the textures, like
I know.
this stuff.
I know, it's like chicken
This
wire.
is really cool, too. Great job, Diamond Blade. Day one, Mi Huland. He's like, day one? No, day, I don't know, 30 more like it, right? Like, I'm so
like,
far ahead of you.
Take it to the full extreme.
Yeah, oh, that's cute, your blues. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add a photo. I'm gonna change the font. I'm gonna,
know.
What? We just announced this like 90 minutes ago.
I know.
There's like a lot going on, and I'm into the colors.
Yeah.
And you know, if you get a chance to add a peacock, add a peacock.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Just general thoughts.
It's super cool. I feel like the only thing I don't like with it is the icons on the side, like how they're you know, not lined up, but then they're also, it doesn't seem like there's purpose in the bottom of them, you know?
These icons?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think if they all were the same jaggedness.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not wording that correctly. I'm running out of words for the day, but
yeah. No, you're hitting your limit.
I know. I'm like, I'm maxed out.
But this is very good because, like, honestly, it comes down to editing. It doesn't even need any of that. This is a better design if it was like cropped.
I agree.
And then focusing on your artistic elements here are fantastic. I also like playing with depth. So if you just put this 3 behind the peacock, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I love that.
A little bit of depth, but
yeah,
this one like might be my favorite.
Yeah, I really, there's so many cool things happening, and I agree. I think even cropping the icons out, then your eye really focuses on the 30 and the peacock, and then it kind of
you're not mixing styles.
Yeah, and it kind of leads. You know, you immediately see 30, then you follow like the lines of the peacock down to Photoshop turns, and I think the icons are just distracting.
Yeah,
but overall, awesome job. I
yeah,
love it.
It's so cool. Everybody's doing a great job. We'll be reviewing these throughout the day. We have awesome people here. Magdal Lopez coming up next. I'm just adding some fun icons to all of these. But you could do the same, by the way. Get involved right in here as you take a look, do the creative challenge. Get started. It's all about getting involved in the community chat. So feel free to encourage those people that are posting and continue to post as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
So, yeah.
Great job, you guys, on the creative challenge. I really love it. I love seeing everyone's like unique take on it and doing something different, you know, and the ones of you that, like, if you followed the instructions, that's great because it's a great way to learn. And then those of you that branched out, you know, that's a really good way to expand your creativity.
Yeah, there are definitely like no wrong answers, and I hope our feedback's like constructive, saying, hey, you could try this. We're just happy you're doing something. 'Cause it's just really, as you know, a little bit every day leads up to 10,000 followers on Instagram.
Yes.
Is all I'm saying.
I also find that doing these creative challenges is a great way to get out of a rut if you're kind of feeling like, I don't know what to do, I'm kind of stuck, or, you know, you're maybe feeling a little bit burned out. I know for me, like one of my biggest downfalls is I suffer from major burnout all the time because I'm always working so hard and I'm in Photoshop so often working on things that I will just feel like I can't even look at it anymore. And sometimes all you need is a challenge like this to kind of get like that spark back and feel like inspired again, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, like this is the beginning of it. You know, what starts out as a little challenge becomes a project, could become a portfolio piece.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like to give you direction. Would like for you to build your portfolio. Would like you to get a job if you're interested in all that fun stuff. And to that point, like let's keep in mind the goals, as somebody mentions in here. It technically is an invitation. So when you go in here to get started, there is this file as well, just FYI.
Oh, okay.
Not a big deal, but you know, that's just placing it on that graphic.
Awesome.
But these are just postcards. And
Love
feel
it.
free, I was going to point out, this says Adobe stock, not a big deal. Like use whatever you want. Don't ever like stamp out that Adobe stock watermark.
Yeah,
that's one
I've seen
tutorial
people
you'll
do
never
that. Oh my
see.
God.
You'll never see that on this channel, that's
No.
for sure. Because you're like stealing from your neighbor.
It's the worst when you
put the hard
notice
work into
it.
this.
Like you see it on Instagram, you can see a little mark of the stock, and you're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, right?
It's so bad. I've seen people with a lot of followers. Like I'm thinking of one person in particular who I won't mention, but
I know
I've
one person that I'm
seen
thinking
it,
of.
and I'm like, "Oh my God, you
Like,
want
you-
to comment and be like, you can't do that."
You can't. Yeah, you're stealing from somebody else's hard work. Because
Yeah.
honestly, people are giving away so many images. Like, you go through the proper channels, you give them a shout out, you're good to go there.
Exactly. And there's free stock sites if people don't want to pay for stock. But
Yeah, exactly. And you'll get that sometimes too. Hey, what can you? Maybe your stuff gets stolen.
Oh,
I don't
all
know.
the time. You know, people will post it or re-edit it. Like I saw something the other day where someone took a piece of one of our images and put it into one of theirs, and I'm like, you can't do that. You didn't ask.
Yeah, you didn't ask. You had to pay for it.
Yeah.
And you're not only stealing from you, but the person that you bought the photo from
Exactly.
as well. So that's a good. Sorry, we had to get on our little soapbox.
I know.
But we're just defensive of like other designers and
Yeah,
photographers.
there's been a lot of bad stuff lately. Like a few friends of mine have gotten major stuff stolen by like celebrities, and it's happening everywhere. So it's something that needs to be nipped in the bud.
Yeah. I know I got a message the other day, even on Behance, and it was like, hey, I don't notice a way to download your files. So I'm like, yeah, no. You can't download it. I would actually give it to anybody, but it's like you just assume that it's free and you can take it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in like some of this stuff as well, as I kind of look on your Instagram, and we could wrap up anything else you want there, but like, you know, some of these swooshinesses is pretty tough to do, especially knowing that you're like me, you're using a mouse and you're using your touchpad.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that you're not using fancy, from what I know, not using fancy equipment to do some of this stuff.
Yeah, that one actually, you know, I can't exactly remember how I did it off the top of my head, but I remember it was a pretty easy thing using just the laptop. And basically all you do is you make a brush, so you paint all those little stars like in place, and then you make a brush out of that, and then you actually click and drag it up.
And then you just drag it up with that brush, but how do you get it to fade?
Just in the brush settings, you change it to like pen pressure. We could try that tomorrow or something to look at, but like I said, I can't remember exactly how I did it, but it's all about the brush settings and just making those little stars in place and then drag it up and then make sure that the way you set your brush is so that it fades out.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I may have even layer masked it a little bit to kind of get everything looking cool.
Yeah. That is very cool. I'm also curious as to like how you made that brush or where you got that brush too.
The star brush?
The star, yeah. I will say this is one thing I was actually gonna like show, because you might actually do this. Is like, this is old school, but like in terms of the render lens flare. So like making your own brush.
I saw you do that. That was so cool.
Yeah,
it was like genius.
This is also kind of like what you were doing. You were painting this earlier, and this is just a good study in a lens flare, how this looks for a 50mm lens, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can always do that. Click done, right? And then invert it, right? And there you already have the start to a a brush that you can make if you want this brush.
Yeah,
Whatever. You
that's
get the
awesome.
idea.
I love the idea of making brushes out of the lens flares because I feel like that's something people don't often think about because you just think, okay, I can render a lens flare, but if you had it as a brush, it would give you a different effect, and it would be a great way to paint the way we were doing earlier.
Yeah, and my goal is to paint where it actually has it's white in the center and then has a yellow and auburn whatever glow on the outside. So
Exactly.
like playing with those colors is just like you did in here is like really cool. Oh yeah, here's the brush by the way. It's already made, but like I'm painting with black. It's really large. You get the idea. We won't worry about this. I just wanted to show even the colors that are going on here is like kind of, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I need to try to remember how I did that. I have the PSD file somewhere, so maybe I'll look that up tonight. We can talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, totally. Like this, all this stuff.
I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago that I made that, and I just reposted it the other day. I repost stuff all the time. Someone was like, I've seen this already on your page. I'm like, yeah, surprised you haven't seen it 5 times because everything gets reshared over and over and over.
Oh, that's so smart. I just post things once.
Yeah,
And I
you
probably
need to
shouldn't.
because it's a great way to, you get new followers and they've never
You
seen
repost
something.
again? Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
I
so-
just post it once. I'm like, good luck, design. Sending you off into the real world.
Yeah.
See ya. It's a
I
suitcase. I'm curious about this too. Like if this was actually here, or if you added that as a.
I think that was there. I'll get this.
But it would be
we can
interesting
look
because you
at
added it here. But like some of this stuff, some of these things are just like, from one image, I think you can learn a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I was actually thinking the world image right here where
Yes.
I was actually thinking of working on that on day 3, so maybe we could look at that a little. A lot of people asked me how I did this, and it was literally one of the simplest things I've ever
Yeah.
done. It just was masking it together, and the way these 2 images came together was insane. So I think on day 3, if we do a little photography work and work on some stuff, and then, maybe even take a look at this image, because it's like, I think it's magic and mind-blowing when you can take 2 images that seem like they wouldn't make sense together, like the world and underwater, and put them together and create this incredible scene.
And it could have it came together quickly, maybe because it was like the marriage of like 2 images that made it. It's
Exactly.
like using the right image or forcing something to work that's not working.
Exactly, like trying to create headlights from no headlights, or combining 2 images
You're
that have
like,
the
you
same
would,
color.
You would rather get in the van and head back out to mom
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
just like at night. Let's
I
just
know,
go
like,
ahead
I'm
and
just
do
gonna-
that because I'm so sick of trying to paint this.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm just going to go reshoot it. Or even, my van's in the driveway at home. Might as well just take a new photo of the van.
Yeah, right?
Ideas.
Which that's such a good, I mean, honestly, like you can paint this all the day long in Photoshop and it does wonders, but it's just better just going out and like taking the photo. Let's
I know,
face it.
I
Like
know.
if you can, and I think it's cool and you haven't even shown what you, like some of the Photoshop, we'll work on that later, but some of
Yeah.
the tricks that you have for tomorrow with Photoshop and your lighting elements and stuff like that is really cool.
Yeah, that's something I'm super excited for, because then we can really talk about the difference between photographing something the way you want it or building it purely in Photoshop, and learning the balance between the two. Because I
Yeah.
think it really is a matter of balance. Like
Okay.
I used to try to paint everything in Photoshop and create everything in Photoshop. And that's really, really hard. Sometimes, you can't build the glow. Like, you can't create headlights from scratch. You need to have a little bit of something there to work with. And that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, but it is super important. And I will say big thing I learned, first lesson I learned out of college was like, I was trying to build everything in 3D, and this art director came in one day and she was like, just take a photo.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to make it look real, just take a real photo. And I was like, what an epiphany.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so true.
and so it's like use real elements and things will look real.
Yep.
Imagine that.
Yep.
But I think you guys have been fantastic. We're kind of winding down. I don't know if you have anything else to show.
Do you want me to preview tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Let me open that before you switch over.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. So, here we are again.
Anyways, actually, real quick before tomorrow, we can look at this 2020 image, because that's kind of a little preview for tomorrow too.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So this image is an example of what we'll see tomorrow. I'm about to bring that up, but using a combination of painting with light in Photoshop and using a real light.
Yeah.
So if you just click the little arrow button, Vlad said, guess Anna's favorite color. And someone said blue, yes, Photoshop blue.
Love it.
Yeah, so you can see here I used a light and put the light under the jar and then held it on my face. And then with the combination of painting 2020 and painting a little glow on the jacket, then you make it look like really much more realistic.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm interested in this and talking all about it.
All right, so you can switch over to me now. So here's what we're gonna be working on tomorrow. Little birthday preview for Photoshop. Let's bring that up there. So as you guys know, Photoshop's birthday, so I made like a little kind of icon cake. And this may look super simple, but there's a lot more that went into it. There's a lot of little details that I want to show you guys tomorrow, such as, you know, blending images together, replacing my hand, doing the lighting. I'll show you guys how to add highlights to hair, how I kind of put these candles into the icon, then even adding like, again, these are the little details that no one might see on Instagram, but things that help make it look more realistic, like adding this little shadow here to make it look like the icon's pushed in. And yeah, I don't want to give away too much on that one, but
Yeah, no, you're perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. A little preview. Thank you, everybody. Richard, Steve, just so you know, Anna will be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. and yeah, for the next 2 days. We have you for a total of 3 days today. We do have Andrea Hawk up next with a little UX UI using Adobe XD. And yes, you're right, not enough candles.
yeah, I was not putting 30 candles on the cake. It looked so bad. I also thought about doing...
Nobody's counting. Nobody cares. The artistic, license. Yeah. But we also, I think it's cool, we have Magdal Lopez up with us today, as well as Nick. So they're coming up soon. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Anna.
Bye.